The fish eggs were supposed to be for research, not for eating, but a U.S. biologist reportedly known as Wisconsin's Sturgeon General was hatching another. Brian Koenigs, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources top sturgeon expert, was charged Thursday with one count of obstructing a conservation warden, which is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 9 months in jail and $10,000. Online court records did not list an attorney for him. DNR spokeswoman Sarah Hoy said Koenigs was placed on administrative leave Thursday but declined further comment. He could be the first of many to be charged in what investigators allege was a wide-ranging scheme involving multiple DNR employees and caviar processors. The scientist allegedly accepted at least $20,000 in kickbacks in the form of jars of caviar from a processor in exchange for eggs intended for research, according to the New York Times, citing a Winnebago County. The eggs can go for $100 an ounce. Sturgeon are bony fish that can grow as large as 12 feet 6 meters long, and their eggs are highly coveted as caviar. Wisconsin, which prides itself on outdoor traditions such as hunting and fishing, holds an sturgeon spearing season every February on the Lake Winnebago system near Oshkosh, about 90 miles, 142 kilometers, northwest of Milwaukee. This year's season is set to begin Saturday. According to the criminal complaint, Koenigs has served as the DNR's top sturgeon biologist since 2012 and is the lead coordinator for the department's spearing season, which is held every February on the Lake Winnebago. He oversees the roughly 60 DNR workers who staff registration stations during the season. The DNR and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service began a joint investigation in 2017 into allegations that DNR workers had been illegally selling or trading sturgeon caviar in violation of state. The investigation culminated in January 2020 and uncovered multiple people who were illegally selling, purchasing, bartering or trading sturgeon eggs. The complaint investigators interviewed Koenigs in January 2020. He told them that DNR registration workers collect eggs as part of a fertility. If a spearer wants the eggs back, the workers won't collect them or they'll return them after they've been studied. Koenigs investigators asked him why workers at a registration station were putting eggs in a cooler marked for a caviar process. Koenigs said he didn't know the processor, that staff shouldn't be taking custody of eggs, and that he didn't know the processor kept a cooler. He said he had never called the processor. When the investigators showed him phone records confirming that Koenigs had in fact done so in May 2018, he said he didn't know what he and the processor discussed, but that he was sure it wasn't sturgeon. Share this article. Share. He insisted he didn't know that any DNR workers were collecting eggs and giving them to members of the public who weren't involved in department research. He added, however, that if a spearer asks for eggs to be taken to a processor as part of the research, DNR workers will do so, and that processors sometimes thank DNR staffers with jars of caviar. Investigators interviewed Kendall Kamke, a DNR fisheries supervisor. The same. He said he was guilty of taking eggs to a processor here and there, and that processors would give him jars of caviar in one processor gave him moonshine. He said. Investigators also uncovered official DNR logs showing that caviar was going to a processor, according to a former DNR fisheries supervisor named Ronald Brook told them staff had received caviar from processors for years and ate it. 2 processors told investigators that staff would give them eggs. One of them said he made 65 pounds of caviar out of them, and he and Koenigs were both nervous about the arrangement because it was prohibited. A DNR sturgeon registration employee told them that one year, they threw out all the eggs because wardens were asking too many questions about them. Investigators searched Koenigs' home in June and seized his DNR-issued phone. They discovered it had been erased in April, 4 months after they interviewed him, and reset without the department. Last week, Koenigs told investigators that his staff were indeed taking eggs from 5 to 6 sturgeon to processors annually after research rather than. He also said he accepted 20 to 30 jars of caviar annually from processors and dispersed it to as many as a dozen co-workers for their personal use. According to his false statements added hundreds of hours to an investigation that could have been dramatically shortened had he told investigators the truth, the complaint said.